Hello, and welcome to the Healing Dreams Project, exploring projective dream work for your health and wholeness, with hosts Billie Ortiz and Dr. Royce Fitts. I am the producer, Viviana, and today we are going to explore another one of Royce's dreams. So, why don't you lead us into your dream world, Royce?
Just like that? Okay, thank you. Um, I am relating a dream that I had in waking world about a month ago. This is May 14, 2022. And it's a short one, so I call them dream fragments. I'm with somebody who is very sexy and sensual. And suddenly we are finally being sexy and sensual together. It's very touching and powerful. There's lots of detail that I usually never have in dreams about sensuality. I'm touching and playing and kissing, and I want to make sure I'm giving her pleasure. I'm so aware also that I've been wanting to do this with her for so long. I feel excited and happy that she wants to be with me. And that keeps me, and that keeps that keeps being surprising to me that she desires me as I desire her. And then somewhere in this dream, it's about my time at the Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's like there's been this transition, or somehow it's all a part of the dream. There is a woman in the dream from the waking world. She was my former, they're called point of contact, former supervisor for my work on the base. Um, and I'm imagining her in kind of a sensual way as well, although nothing takes place as far as her and my connecting. That's the dream.
Hmm. And so I'm imagining her in a sensual way too. Is that how the dream ends?
Without any activity, yes. A sensual, like a
Oh,
kind of an imagination as I'm observing her um, in the dream,
okay.
and no dream activity.
And the first woman that I'm as a dreamer that I'm encountering with, is there any
Mm-hmm.
description of what this woman looks like?
Uh, I am no, I don't. It's like I see her and I don't see her all at the same time. I certainly, in this dream, it's no one from waking life. I remember her being luscious, uh, perhaps um, um, I don't know, uh, kind of earth goddess. Now that's a waking life thought, a kind of earth goddess plumpness, and yet not.
Mm-hmm. But when you say
I haven't said that even to myself until now. So,
but what does but not mean then? So
well, yeah. So it's not like I've experienced or seen pictures of Earth Goddess and being very plump
mhm.
and luscious. Uh, she's kind of in that neighborhood, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember her being luscious, you know. Um,
Yeah. And as the dreamer, I'm feeling everything, the touching, the kissing,
yeah, yeah,
caressing. It's
yeah,
like very
yeah.
tactile. Okay.
Genital touching and enjoying it, and
Oh,
uh, enjoying that she's enjoying that, me enjoying being touched as well. Yeah.
okay. So the supervisor can, without identifying this person, of course,
Hmm. Hmm.
give me some kind of like adjectives or descriptions for this
Yeah.
supervisor?
Yeah. Okay. So I just need to say that's kind of odd that uh, I in my dream drama I bring her into it. Um, so in the waking world, I she's a quite competent individual. She runs as a civilian a lot of the programs on the base, and so I would fall under her technical supervision. And she's attractive. Uh, Sometimes I remember thinking she's not as tall as she looks because the way she dresses, she, has heels and stuff, and she really raises herself up as far as height. And she's quite attractive. She's been at the Air Force Base almost 40 years. And I
Wow.
know from, the little stuff she and I've shared and just hearing her as I'm hanging around, she was very intentional about keeping her body in good shape. It was a big priority for her. And I remember running into her at some social events in Cheyenne.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh man, she's quite the social person. And her husband was with her at the time. And I just kind of noticed him. It's like, huh, doesn't, it's like, I don't know that they match, but maybe they do. And he's
Oh,
had some severe health problems. These
oh,
are all flighting little thoughts that goes around in Royce's head as he's doing stuff in the waking world.
uh-huh.
Um, I've seen her get kind of fierce with some of the military people, kind of pissed off
Uh-huh.
and being very frank. So she had that fierce administrative edge and was not afraid of using, harsh uh, profanity to describe whatever the heck is going on.
Mm.
Um, but I felt like, she was an attractive person. I didn't particularly feel drawn to her,
Yeah.
uh, and, but I thought she took good care of herself, and that was an interest. That was a draw for me,
Mm.
energetically.
Cool. Sounds like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I'm not sure I always agreed with her, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
everybody liked her, but yeah,
Yeah.
she was, yeah, she'd been there almost 40 years. She's going to retire. It's like,
Well, yeah.
she kind of a no shit taker,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially in the Air Force. It's like
Hmm.
fierce and good
Right.
for her, dealing with this hierarchy, that male hierarchy.
Yeah. 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 Go ahead,
If this
Viviana.
were my dream, I would wonder if the sensuality weren't another way of expressing creativity,
Mm.
and there are two different ways that I'm being creative, perhaps. Um, that's one way I would look at it, and another is just the two different sorts of personality types that I
Mm.
might feel are in my life. Uh, One that seems more attractive, that seems there's this energy that flows, this electricity. And the other, although I can see as attractive and physically pleasing and a kind enough person, yet there's no attraction. So it's just sort of interesting dichotomy. What is it about the other more plump version that is
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
seemingly more attractive that would just make me wonder about that? What is it exactly?
Mm. Yeah. That's great. There is some kind of contrast in my version of the dreaming. There's this, very uh, somewhat masculine form of a feminine represented by the supervisor. She's got this very strong determination. She's described as fierce, um, also she's, her body is, she makes sure she's in really good shape, which is a contrast to the way I described as the dreamer, as I described the sexy sensual scene. This woman's more luscious and more
mhm,
soft and more
mm,
so there's that contrast of how am I as the dreamer imagining myself as Royce, as a man in the world, dealing with my inner feminine, because there's an inner feminine that, and I keep saying, and finally we're touching, finally we're connecting. I heard that a
mhm,
couple of times.
mhm,
So there's a
mhm.
feeling of longing that's been there.
Right. Yeah,
Or
longing. That's a very good point. Yearning, longing. Yeah.
right, and so now
Yeah.
I'm connecting with this part of myself. So if I look at it
Mhm,
from an interior
mhm,
perspective, then this is me romancing that inner feminine, which I need. That, and this is like the most important part of bringing us together into wholeness, is the reunion of the masculine and feminine. And the closer I get and the more intimate I am in the dream with that other part of myself, how I'm integrating it into my life and into my psyche and into
mm,
my
mhm,
wholeness. So there's this loving, longing pure piece of, like,
mhm,
and it's very erotic and very enjoyable for both of us, and
mhm.
I feel her pleasure and that gives me pleasure. And there's this reciprocal feeling of love it goes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that a lot. I love that a lot,
Mhm.
how this is being described. I There's a part of me that's so like kind of surprised that she really desires me.
Yeah,
And it's like, whoa, what a like
yeah,
is this real? Someone would desire me like that? It's just very beautiful,
yeah.
um, um, passionate exchange. And I am remembering I can't really see her in the dream. I do notice that she has a kind of like the other woman in the dream is is obviously very white. I mean, to me, I know she's white. She has blonde hair, and she is very light complected. The luscious woman, uh, I has a kind of a darker complexion, although I can't see her, but she's more um, she's not white like that.
Right, right.
I'm sorry, I don't know what else to
So
say.
so the so the supervisor's white with blonde hair.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
very
then
much.
the
Mhm,
luscious lover
mhm.
is has a dark, I was gonna ask
Kind
you
of a
about.
darker yeah, not kind of a darker complexion,
Okay,
darker hair.
right.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah.
That makes me think about definitely Earth Goddess. I mean, and
Mm,
this is why Oprah Winfrey is a huge dream symbol for a lot of people. And
mm.
I believe that's why, because she's got a very large, luscious, voluptuous body, darker skin, representing, possibly the Black Madonna archetype, and she's so rich. She's full of abundance. So people often dream about Oprah Winfrey, and in my version, that's why, because it's like, oh, this is the part, the mother goddess that can just is
Mhm.
constantly giving, but can take it all away at the same time. That's the other thing we have to remember about the goddess, is that they Robert Bly often would say, the goddess that doesn't love you anymore. Because it's the whole thing.
Oh,
The thing is that we have to think about the fact that the earth goddess in particular, is about life, rebirth, and death, and death in the service of life. So there's a whole nother piece in there about, you know, that's why it feels like so sexy. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm surprised she even wants to connect with me in this way, because this is the goddess that can give it to me or take it away. So it's having to understand that paradox, I think, is a big piece if it were my dream. And also, we got to remember that every time there's physical sex represented in a dream, it's another place we can say, almost always, is about higher orders of longing, meaning that there's a part of me that wishes to connect with something divine. And this is how it's represented in the dream. And the dream knows that that erotic ecstasy that we feel is the similar way we should feel when we connect with the divine. That kind of, it's like those Rumi poems of all the constant longing. And I can't, Rumi goes on and on about how, I can't wait to connect with you, and my heart is, yearning for connection. It's that part of us that knows there's something otherworldly to connect with, and that fulfills us in my dream. So then it's contrasted with the woman at the end that's the supervisor. So
Yeah, it is. This is a contrast more than I realized, because in the end, part of the dream about her is, I feel her. I'm aware of her attractiveness, and
mhm,
yet there's kind of uh, I don't know, an aloofness, a kind of not sure I want to do that kind of a thing, and
yeah,
yeah, you said it in an interesting way, and I can't remember your words. Um, so in relation to the earth goddess being that we were making love with, and I had this awareness of, wow, she wants me so much, really.
yeah, yeah,
And that powerful uh, uh, I felt desired. Yeah, that's it. I felt desired. And I contrast that with what I sometimes have experienced in the waking world, uh, that I don't have that. And I do yearn for that. I thirst for that kind of desire,
mhm,
to be desired. And and so I I guess I'm just lifting that up, that's a waking life awareness that I have sometimes. And in the dream, the awareness was, the need is being met, or
yeah,
the desire is being met. I don't know that it's a need, but the
right.
desire is being met. Making myself vulnerable here, folks. So,
Thank you for that.
In my projected version of the dream, I would see this as a, it's almost like I'm really thirsting, starving for a spiritual sort of kundalini, or what's that called when
mm,
the rapture is, there's a word for it, the union. I can't think of it right now. But I think it's just a tantric sex.
Oh,
Right?
mm,
So
mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
mixing the sensual, sexual with the spiritual as well,
Right. It just
and
blends all together. Right. Yeah.
and as Billy had pointed out earlier, it's this feminine within me. So the more I feed it within me, the more I desire myself. I see and recognize myself, the beauty within myself. The more I will be able to reflect it on somebody else as well, and it will be mutual. So therefore, providing desire and feeling desired as in return, as long as I'm nourishing, nurturing,
mm,
and feeling all those feelings within myself. I think that's how I would turn it around. It's almost like when I was single, I would really work on myself, because then
mm,
I felt that I would, as it's so that I wouldn't have to find my other half. It
mm.
was, I was already whole, and then I wanted to find another whole person.
Oh, very nice.
Whole, which comes back to the other
Yeah,
dream,
yeah, yeah.
Whole.
That's it. That's it. Very good. That's beautiful. Thanks. Yeah, that's right. It's like and that's where, well, and then we are in the land of projection, and that's what usually happens is that if I don't have that, I haven't fulfilled that part of myself, and I don't feel whole inside, then I will project it out into the world, and I will always say, "Oh, that person's gonna fulfill what I feel I'm missing. And I do this all unconsciously, of course, and that always happens with relationships. And the only and we know that there's no way. I mean, we're human, so we're going to always project. That's the thing. We can't really ever stop projecting. All we can do is notice it when we're doing it. Go, okay, that's right now. I'm having a projection right now at this moment. And the more I realize that when it's happening in real time, the more I can own it and say, that's I'm desiring this person because they're fulfilling something that I think I'm lacking. And if I am lacking that and I expect that person to fulfill it, chances are it's gonna it boomerangs back. And then it's like, oh, you haven't fulfilled what I thought you were going to fulfill. And this is a lot of thing that happens with relationships, because we project out like a princess onto a woman, or a prince onto a man, and it's like we're expecting them to save us. We're expecting them to make us whole, as you said. So projection can get very tricky. So the more that I own that part of myself, the more that I realize it is a part of me, the less it's going to be projected out into the world.
Yeah, that so the yearn to want to have it externalized, and the spiritual truth of internalizing this is what I feel like my task is. And in my dream, I'm making love with this part of myself that and I'm so surprised. I feel so drawn to myself. I feel so enthused, so happy that another part of myself is really yearning for me, thirsting for me.
Hungry
for them good things, baby, with a real fun. Remember that? No, you don't. What?
Remember what? Well, I didn't even hear.
Oh, it's an old rock song. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Hungry for them good things, baby, with a real fine girl like you. You don't remember this? Okay, listeners, wherever you are.
I'm younger than you, Royce.
It's a 60s song. It's a 60s song.
Yeah. I mean, my husband's 10 years older, so yes, I've heard a
lot. Ask him. He'll remember Paul
ask.
Revere and the Raiders.
I know Paul Revere and the Raiders, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that song right at this moment.
Anyway, that's a nice whatever, tacking on something from the waking world, as a teenager, yearning to be hungered for.
Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter.
Yeah. Herman's Hermits.
Herman's Hermits. All right. So anyway, getting back to the dream.
Back off, leaving the top 40 behind. Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the dream.
I was a disc jockey in college, and I loved those songs.
Yeah. So. Oh, I know. There's a lot of them that I love too. That I just didn't recognize the one that you mentioned. But anyway, so here's my projection on the supervisor.
I was going to go to the supervisor too.
Why don't you go first, Viviana?
Okay, I'm going to hide my eyes first while you do.
Go ahead.
No, I just thought or think super. So she's super woman, but super harsh, super militant, super, and has this place like as a supervisor. So she's over me, and there's just too much dominance there. I think with the other one, there's more of equality, more tenderness, more softness. And again, it's just, for me, the energy, when I hear the dreamer speak and feel the energy of the dream, it just has to be this explosive spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And be it for me for knowing how to process my own dream. I can't, and it's like, this is why we do it this way.
Yeah.
How is it, why is it that I put these two very different energies inside my, I packed my dream with these contrasting energies?
Well, if it were my dream, there's something about the way that the supervisor has the way she's described is it's as though she has actually come and equalized her inner masculine. Because even though it comes across as like, oh, she's fierce, okay, that's a good quality for all of us to have fierceness when we need it. She doesn't seem to take anything, it's like a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she can even handle these Air Force people.
Yeah,
and
officers, commanders. Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like, doesn't pussyfoot around. I mean, she doesn't do, she's much more in touch with her masculine. And it's called sword energy for a reason, because sword energy is like, the masculine comes in and it just makes a decision, decisive action, says, this is it, we're moving on, and cuts the heads off and then goes, you know, and that is a very masculine trait. And so in my version, she's attractive. She's certainly in touch with her feminine. She knows how to put on heels enough to make to seem as though she can, stand tall with everyone else. And there's this sense of like she doesn't have to go and ask anybody permission about, should I do this or should I not do this? And the feminine quality, generally speaking, would be more about debating, gestating, being concerned about everybody's feelings before a decision is made. Let's form a committee and talk about it. But masculine energy is like, okay, here, decisive action. That's it. It's overdone. And I get that feeling from the supervisor that shows up in the dream. She shows me an example in a feminine form of what it's like to be in balance masculine with her inner masculine and her outer feminine. And I'm also still attracted to her in that way because I'm like, hey, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for being able to take my luscious, beautiful earth goddess inner feminine and equalize it to the point where it becomes part of who I am. And that's why she's communing, she's so in so much close contact with me. This part of me wishes to integrate. It wishes to become one with me.
I get the words. I'm not sure what that would look like.
Right. Well, the good news is I'm dreaming about it. Because if I'm dreaming about it, then that means it's ready to come to consciousness. It's ready to become whole. I'm ready to become whole with it. Allowing myself to be more vulnerable might be one place. Allowing myself to feel that sense of pleasure of being in the body. And again, it's a big clue that this could be a goddess type energy, because the goddess is all about body and about feeling and touching and being part. Spirit and masculine often is associated with air and fire, and it's a little harder to grab hold of. But earth and water and feminine, it's all about touching, feeling, being in being in union with my body, if it were me. Anything else come up?
No, when I said it, I I hear the words. I'm not sure what that looks like with me,
Yeah.
and uh, and and so I guess I'm. It's like a kind of I don't know, functionally dumb for for a moment, just like
Yeah.
not being able. I like this contrast that in my dream I've created. That's such a beautiful contrast. And so what I think I'm hearing is that this second person, the supervisor person,
Yeah.
is representing a part of me that uh, I need to learn how to merge with.
Mm-hmm.
and and so what does merging with look like? How have I not done that? I, on a feeling level, it's like the first woman, the earthy goddess, earth mother.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, dive in. Let's, no holds barred here. And the second one is like, yeah, that feels kind of dangerous,
Mm.
scary, a little, um, like I feel insecure, standoffish,
Uh-huh.
uh, and and so she represents the part of me that perhaps I'm not comfortable with.
Mm. Well, there's a reason why she shows up in my dream, so I have to, it's a part of me that I need to get to know more about.
Mhm,
And so she comes into my dream for a reason. And I think it like I said before, I think it's another version of femininity. So it's showing me that feminine qualities can be many, can be many different ways that feminine can be expressed. And it's not a pushover energy. It's not a, you know,
mhm.
it can be extremely directed and fierce.
And that energy is me, and one that I'm nervous about,
Yeah.
perhaps um, leery of, yeah, feel vulnerable
Mm,
about.
right.
And how can that be, in a sense, how can that energy become my friend that I can, merge with, make love with?
Mm-hmm.
She reminds me of Diana, the warrior goddess,
Mm-hmm.
who's also, I think, the goddess of wisdom. So, and I don't think if it were my dream, I wouldn't feel like I have to feel the lust for all of the women, of all the lovers in
Yeah.
my life. In fact, I would focus, if it were my situation, my dream, I would, all those qualities that I desired in the one that I blended, merged with, I would write that down, make sure that I embody that as well.
Mm.
Because in that process, I think I would attract more of that and
Mm.
make sure I love that, make sure I desire all that as well.
Yeah. Very good.
As you were speaking, I had this kind of a burp, a burp of awareness
Huh?
that was like, oh, maybe these are the same energies. And this is an earth goddess who reveals herself first as the sensual, desiring, and desirous.
Oh, yeah.
And she morphs into this other, the shapeshifter. And they're both the same.
Mm.
That's part of what I'm gathering a bit, Viviana, when you were reflecting this. It's like, oh, she shapeshifted.
That's very good. Yeah. I see
Mhm,
that too. I
mhm.
got a big aha with that.
And so it's the same energy shifting, reshaping, morphing
Mm.
herself, myself.
Yeah.
And then as I'm aware of that, there is that sense of kind of a playfulness that the earth goddess is doing to kind of get my attention, in a way that makes me more whole.
Mm.
or invites me to be more whole. Um, and I don't feel so like oppositionals, like it's not one or the other. These are the same
Mm. Yeah. Right.
energies. And that feels really fun and good. It's like, oh, I don't need to be afraid of the second person. This is all the same. And I can make friends, make love with both.
Oh, I think that if it were my dream, that's a big breakthrough on my part because I have to because that's why I feel attracted to the
Yeah,
to that's why, and I'm
yeah.
surprised. I'm thinking in the waking world, I'm like, well, I never really was attracted to her,
Mm-hmm,
but she has a quality
mm-hmm.
that that that's it. It feels like restructures my definition of femininity
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
I see her as she can hold her own. She,
I just love this. I have this goosebumpy uh, awareness of this as being this. This is the same energy.
mm-hmm,
It's like, oh, she shapeshifted for me. She's
right,
doing this, showing me, and now it's like she is a powerful ally, a powerful resource for me.
right, right,
Not oppositional. These are the same. And she was doing, this is where it touches me. The earth goddess was doing this for me. It's
yeah,
like, okay, let's do this together. Let's merge all of these energies together. Gives me a real sense of what's the word? Empowerment.
yeah. Wow,
Wow,
beautiful.
this is why projective dream work is so
Huh?
freaking amazing. These strange entities inside of our dreams really want to help us.
And
Absolutely.
I feel helped. I
and
feel
that's
helped.
why, and the thing is, that's why, the whenever somebody that we know in the waking world shows up in our dream, we have to really look closely at all the projections we've had about this person. It's very important to they're there for a reason. And of course, the first lovely luscious lady, lover, she's, you know I don't even really get a good look at her as a dream.
Right. I
that's
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
it's like, wow, it's more like a sensual feeling, and I can imagine embrace and and all this, you know
Nakedness. Yeah. All that beautiful,
yeah.
sensual, touchy feely stuff.
So it
Yeah.
activates my sensation function. It gets me
Mm, mm.
related to that. This is where I need to. And also, we got to remember that because I'm surprised in the dream, I keep saying, and I'm just surprised. And I often think with
Mhm,
surprise and confusion are two places I can say that I've gone past my conventional ways of doing things.
mhm, mhm,
That's so the dream uses that metaphor of surprise because I don't know this part of myself yet.
mhm,
I don't
mhm.
know anything about it yet, so it surprises me. It surprises me that she even wants me.
Yeah, the word surprises is really important to me in my psychotherapy work with clients from a systems point of view.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if we can use playfulness and humor and authentic surprise, not shock, but
Yeah,
authentic
yeah.
surprise, then that puts us in a different awareness. And if I were the client, I have new insights. I can make
Mm-hmm.
I have the possibility of change, and suddenly I see someone else different. I see myself different. So that surprise, it comes back to me in
Mm-hmm.
this making love with the Earth Goddess, and surprise, she's this other person too. Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
like, oh my gosh, yeah,
So great.
yeah, and again, I want to just underline this: the feeling I get, the sense of awareness is that Earth Goddess is doing this for me, for my health, healing, wholeness, and wisdom. That is a surprise. It's like, really, for me?
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, yeah. You know
I
how
know.
goosebumpy that is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah. The dream loves me.
Wow.
I am desired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I am desiring.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. Both and.
Oh, golly, thank
You
you.
are desired, and
Mm.
you are desiring.
So it feels like this is a place to maybe bring this to an arbitrary close. Is there anything else you wish to say, Viviana, about this dream before we?
One of the things that struck me as parallel parallel to the previous dream that we worked of yours, in that other dream,
The owl
the
dream?
owl dream was in the, I think it was sunrise, and it was fairly dark.
Yeah, it was way before sunrise. So
Way
it was the
Yeah.
before, very dark.
earliest dawn.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of the darker woman, maybe.
Mm.
And then the
Oh, that's
the
it.
moment of aha, or the something changed in the dream, when there was light where the rattlesnake was, that I could see the rattlesnake, and then there was this light woman. So I'm just trying to
Mm.
maybe
Yeah.
put them both together to see if there's something there that resonates.
Sure. That's great. Wow. And many goddess images depict them with snakes all around. So snakes and goddess go together. So in my version, the goddess showed up in that dream as the snake,
Mhm, mhm.
and
Mm.
probably the owls too. You know, there's isn't it
Diana had an owl on her shoulder.
Athena has an owl too, right?
Oh, Athena. Wait, Athena.
Athena
I'm
has
getting
an
them
owl. Yeah,
confused.
yeah. I believe
Athena is wisdom, yeah.
right. So they have, so Athena has the owl. And so, maybe the goddess has, oh, that's a big hit. Maybe the goddess has been showing up in different versions for me all this time as the dreamer. And if I look at it from that lens, wow. And see, that's what well, we're referring back to this owl dream a lot. I hope other people can find it if they're looking for it. It's
In the podcast,
right.
because we don't know exactly where it will be date wise, but
Yeah. So
It'll
it,
have the
because
title, though.
our listeners are so passionate, they'll do a search.
right. And that was one of the things that came to me about the owl dream, was that they both need to survive. And that's one of the things that
Yeah.
the goddess represents to us, is that, I mean, some of the earth goddesses like Baba Yaga, it's all about, she goes around on a mortar and pestle, for the reason is because, she reminds us that eventually we all get ground up into dust, and then that's it, we're done. So there's this reminder that she gives life, but there has to be both, and that in order for everyone to survive, there we have to eat food, and we have to to take things from the earth so that we can survive. And so here's the baby owls and the snake kind of illustrating this in one nest. And that's why there's that light that comes out. It's almost like this is the answer.
This is the insight. This is the light. This is the truth.
And,
Oh.
and neither one is good or bad. They're both surviving. And so there's some part of me that has to understand that too, within myself as well. And is the goddess appearing in all these different forms for me as the dreamer?
Yeah.
So I can see it from all these different angles.
Wow. Okay.
That
You all are really good at this.
well, thank
We should do a
a
podcast.
little practice. So any final words before we close this up, or bring it to, we could say arbitrary close, because you never can completely close up a dream.
I have no other words to reflect at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, are you ready to pick a card? Because I
am.
I already shuffled, and I put something here so it won't make such a loud noise when they fall. So here.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay.
So, you know what? I want to go with the first card. Let's.
Oh, really? You want to just go with the first card?
I do.
Far out. Okay. This is consciousness.
Oh no, it's about me.
It's Buddha he has clouds around him, but his right above his head is clear. And for those people that are just listening to the audio, I'll describe the card. It's yeah, it's a statue of Buddha, as I said, with like clouds all around, and right above him, it's everything's clear. And this is from the suit of in this deck, suit of clouds, suit of swords in traditional tarot.
So this, just for our listeners, this is a tarot deck.
The Osho Zen Tarot.
Yes, and
Which one of swords? Which card of swords is it in the?
I think it's the Ace of. Let me see. Yes, the Ace of Swords.
Oh, it's a powerful card.
Yeah, and this one has a pretty good, interesting description. Okay.
So you two are so informed about tarot, and Royce is marginally aware of tarot. And I wonder sometimes about our listeners who don't know much about tarot. Okay, so that, you know, metaphor wise, doesn't have to be literal. Metaphor wise, my unconscious may have chosen this card, or the card chose me, right?
Well, both and we
Yeah.
we talked about sword energy, and this is a card that's in the suit of swords, and it has very much, yeah, it's the first one, Ace. So most of the cards in the suit of the mind are either cartoon-like or troubled, because the influence of the mind in our lives is generally either ridiculous or oppressive. But this card of consciousness shows a vast Buddha figure. He is so expansive he has gone even beyond the stars, and above his head is pure emptiness. He represents the consciousness that is available to all who become a master of the mind and can use it as the servant it is meant to be. When you choose this card, it means that there's a crystal clarity available right now, detached, rooted in the deep stillness that lies at the core of your being. There's no desire to understand from the perspective of the mind. The understanding you have now is existential, whole, in harmony with the pulse of life itself. Accept this great gift and share it. All right.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Royce, for sharing your dream. Oh, and just to end, do you have a title of the dream?
Golly.
We can.
Both sides now.
Both sides now. Great title. Whoa, I got to chill with that.
I've looked at life from both sides now.
Yeah.
60s music, it's just popping up all over.
Joni Mitchell. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. And we're gonna
thank you.
A bit of a closing here. We'll go back to, and we also want to invite, if anyone has any additional comments about this stream or any symbols that specifically spoke to them, please leave the information on the Dreamer Hotline or in the comments in YouTube or any of the podcasts.
Any of the platforms that we use. Yeah. The Dreamer Hotline, the number is 720-573-9195. If you have a dream you'd like to share with us and dive in, we can dive in together. The Dream Hotline again is 720-573-9195. And if you like our episodes, we appreciate you subscribing to the channel wherever you may be listening from. Like it and share and give us some stars. 5 stars would be great. And Billie, if someone wants to work with you, how can one get in touch with you?
My website is wakeuptoyourdreams.com, and I offer private sessions and groups throughout the month. And I also help people train to become dream workers through the Rocky Mountain Institute of Projective Dreamwork. So check out wakeuptoyourdreams.com.
wakeuptoyourdreams.com. All right. And Dr. Fitts, how may one get in touch with you?
At Royce Fitts, FITTS.com. I'm a spiritual counselor and dream worker. And what we experienced today, if you were to reach out to me and yearn to work on dreams and or your waking life journeys, I would value that deeply because I know you would value that kind of work deeply to move yourself in the direction of health, healing, and wholeness. And you may be having waking life issues and concerns and relationship struggles, etc. These can be explored and looked at and not judged. And you will find support as you create meaning and beauty and adventure, even in the midst of sorrow and tragedy. So I would invite you to explore this.
RoyceFitts.com. Beautiful. I'm Viviana, the producer. My website is viviana.org, viviana.org. And this is the end of our episode today. Thank you for joining us and wishing you all beautiful dreams.
All right. Thank you.